goes. Secretariat on the outside, heading around the turn. Secretariat has the lead. Kennedy Road is second. Twice Lucky is third. Presidio is fourth. It is all Secretariat. Get set. He's coming for home. He's coming to the head of the stretch, and he's now in front by about 6 lengths with Kennedy Road second. The crowd is standing, and they're cheering because this is his last race. He's in the stretch in a blaze of glory. Secretariat, ladies and gentlemen, he's all yours, and he's coming to the wire. He's on top now by about 10 or 12 lengths. Secretariat has it, and it's going to be a race for the second money between Big Spruce and Golden Dawn. Secretariat wins it by 6. Golden Dawn.
Man, hard to believe that was 44 years ago.
I was actually, believe it or not, too young. I wasn't watching horse racing back then, but I have watched that race so many times. I wish I was there. You see all the people running across the track to greet him at the finish line? Wow.
Still get goosebumps. 6.5 lengths, that's how much he won by. Still to this very day, the biggest winning margin in international history. Welcome, special preview edition of Talkin Horse Racing. Jason Portwando, Jennifer Morrison, focusing in on this weekend's Pattison Canadian International. How appropriate that the week started off with a draw, as it always does. Sandy Hawley in the house, guy who's won this race before.
Yeah, and Sandy, when you talk to Sandy, and it's a joy to talk to him, he always talks about his favorite horse, of all the horses he's ridden, Youth, who won this very race back in 1976.
He may have been the best horse I ever had an opportunity to ride. He only raced twice in North America. Of course, I won the International on him. He won by 4 lengths. Beat Trillion, not Trillion, but beat another good horse that Jean Cruguet rode. And then he came back and won the Washington, D.C. International by 10 lengths. So he was a pretty amazing horse, and like I say, may have been the best horse I've ever had an opportunity to ride. This horse came from Europe, he came from France. Maurice Zilbert was the trainer, Bunker Hunt was the owner. They asked us to ride him, and they said he was a champion over in France and thought he had a big shot to win the race. Came here, and he was just absolutely amazing. They told me before the race to keep him covered up. Of course, that means to come from off the pace. And I'll tell you what, he was so strong. He was hard to keep in behind horses. And once I just showed him a little bit of daylight, he was gone. It's fantastic that, you know, we have the International here still, and, you know, it's got a great purse behind it. But the International Flair is fantastic. You know, it always has had a lot of horses come in from Europe, United States, of course, all the great Canadian turf horses. Should be a fantastic day.
Now, Jen, the way the money has changed from back then to today, I can guarantee you Sandy probably wishes he was still riding right now.
Yeah, I almost think he could. I mean, he doesn't really look any different.
That's true. He never ages, that guy.
No, he doesn't.
Let's talk about the race now. A heavy European influence, as you would expect, because, you know, they've dominated in this race, winning the last 7 years in a row.
Yeah, so we got a chance all week to see some of the horses training on the actual turf course, you know, not just on the main track or on the training turf. They opened up the E.P. Taylor turf course. We saw horses training for all the big races. We have other big stakes races on the grass, the Near Arctic and the E.P. Taylor Stakes, as well as the International. So it was fun to see the horses train, and it's nice to see the horses that get off the plane, see how they're acclimating.
They probably feel right at home. I mean, it's dreary, it's overcast, it's wet. Gonna have some cut in the ground, so it's gonna be very European-like come Sunday. You would expect, unless the forecast changes, which it often does.
Yeah.
Let's begin though with the home horse. Let's begin with Johnny Bear. What a story this horse is. You know, started out his career really slow, but man, oh man, is he picking up steam at the right time.
That's right. He's the only Canadian horse in the race this year, and it's been a long time since we've seen a Canadian horse. And it's great to meet this gelding because he's really an up-and-comer, and we met his groom and his owner.
We feel good about it. I think the horse has come a long way. He's shown that he's getting better as he's getting older, and he proved that in the last race that he was in, Northern Dancer, where he ran against a very nice horse from Europe. So hopefully he'll come back and give us the same performance.
That is desperately close. Johnny Bear or Hawkbill in a flying finish.
I feel great about him. When we enter for the another dancer, John will be here every morning early, and I said, boss, don't worry. You know, we're gonna win. Yeah, every morning, 4 mornings straight he was here at 5 o'clock. And he said, oh, he's a big boy. Come and give him carrots, like candy, and we say, we're gonna win, boss. He said, you sure? So yeah, we're confident. And then we did it.
He's been kind of difficult all these years, and my good friend Bear, who I love dearly, and we're good friends, wanted to run him for a tag and drop him down. And over the years, it's been, you know, a little of a struggle between the two of us. But in the end, he lets me kind of do most of the stuff with him. So, you know, I kind of convinced him. And when we ran in the sales stakes, he said, well, you know, we should be running for a tag. And I said, no, I think he deserves a chance. He's been running good. So he's won that. And then when I put him in Northern Dancer, he was again, you know, what are you doing? You know, so, and he came through for us, and hopefully he'll run large again in the International. We're really a small owners. We're not large. We don't have the capital that the large owners have, and certainly European and U.S. owners. So even to get a horse to compete in a Grade 1, it's very difficult, as you well know. Never mind winning a Grade 1. And Northern Dancer is a type of a race that we had in Canada for years, and I don't know when is the last time a Canadian horse that actually is here won the Northern Dancer. So it was very exciting to do that, and especially being that he was bought in the local sale and he was a sale stopper to come and at least win a Grade 1. That was over the top. I mean, you know, you couldn't script it any better than that.
It would be amazing, eh? It made me happy. Made the boss feel proud. I know Johnny want another Grade 1. We got one now. Then moving on to the Pattison. And then he'll be a super owner, right? And I'll be a super groom, right? And we have a super trainer.
Well, Jen, that'd be a cool story because you talked about the drought. It's been 18 long years since a local horse last won this race, 1999, Thornfield.
Canadian-bred Johnny Bear. What a great story. He's already a great story, but what a great story it would be. Bred right here by Ivan Dallos, and I think he's got a really good chance.
And he is peaking. You just
is.
never know.
Yeah.
We've got to talk about the Euro Invaders. They're coming once again with some heavy hitters, led by Erupt, last year's winner. And didn't see this guy at all on the radar last year, but Stéphane Pasquier picked up the winning ride.
Yeah, it's interesting. He had kind of messy form coming into Canada last year, but when you saw him when he arrived here, wow, what a beautiful horse, and he had the class. He won last year. He's been a bit off form this season, but he's run in the United States recently. He's coming up to a good race, I think. And he knows that he likes this course.
He's proven over this EP Taylor. You're right. Graham Motion now training this one, and you know what? It's been done before.
Yep.
Joshua Tree, who's won this race 3 times overall, was able to do it back-to-back in 2012 and 2013.
That's right, and Erupt has a stablemate in the race, Messi, who could provide a little bit of speed for him to run at.
Now, Jen, of course, when you talk Europeans, you always mention the name Aidan O'Brien in there somewhere, and he's perhaps sitting on a big win.
The great Irish trader, Aidan O'Brien, sitting on a record that you'd never think could have been matched, and he's probably going to break it. He is 2 wins away, Group 1 wins away from equaling the record set by the late, great, legendary American trainer, Bobby Frankel. He's at 23, 25 is the record. He could do it at Woodbine.
Yeah, very possible. So he's going to send out a horse that, like Erupt, competed in last year's race. We're talking about Idaho, who finished 5th.
That's right. So Idaho is a horse that has been here, as you said. He's a horse that's really well traveled. He just ran in the Arc, for heaven's sakes, in France. He's a horse that likes to run freely near the pace, but you always have to watch Idaho because he tends to get a little bit worked up before his races. If he gets too worked up, then you start seeing him sweating, and then he starts losing his composure, and that has affected him in the past. But he fits in very well with this group. He is only a few lengths from winning this race last year. So Idaho is certainly a horse that you have to consider.
Yeah, Aidan O'Brien, anything he sends out, I always
Exactly.
Pay close attention.
That's right.
Let's talk about the chemical element, if you will. Here's a horse that, has missed a ticket just once, 13 starts, 5 wins, 6 seconds, and a third. First start, though, outside of Europe.
Yeah, that's right. Chemical Charge, trained by Ralph Beckett. You know, the trainer of this horse said when this horse won his first 2 races of his life, he thought this could be one of the greatest horses that he's ever trained and that he's ever seen. But then he got injured. Anyways, the horse is back on track again. He's come in from England, and I think he's got an interesting shot here. I mean, he's a nice looking horse, and he's coming in winning form.
All right.
He trailed very well. He had a very good team of people with him from Latgrea, and yes, they were all tired, you know, on the morning. But now he's got his sparkle back, and he's looking well and fit. We walked him Tuesday, and we've walked him today, and then he'll be back. He'll be doing a steady canter tomorrow, getting him back into his regime. He's very diverse. He's happy wherever. Obviously, this should suit, so we're hopeful. Everyone here has been great, really, really lovely. Carl is looking after us all so well. Everything was provided for us and has been really, really nice. I mean, the scenery is beautiful. You know, it's a great setup. So yeah, hopefully it would mean the world to us. You know, this is his first time flying, so bringing him here and winning would just mean everything to us.
You know, I like the way he's coming into this race. Back-to-back wins, nice little freshening, and he's looking forward to that rematch with Idaho.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of turf course we get. Will it be a little bit on the wet side? And that usually tends to favor the Europeans for sure. We have some American horses in the race, but the Europeans certainly have an edge right now.
We'll keep an eye on the Europeans pre-race, make sure they don't get a little hot under the collar.
Yeah.
You spoke of the U.S., of course. They had a nice little run in this race, 2007 to 2009, winning back-to-back-to-back. Cloudy's Night, Marshside, Champs-Élysées. A couple of U.S. invaders will join us on the weekend.
Yeah, well, actually, we have a selection of them, and 2 of them actually put on quite a show in Kentucky Downs recently. At the beginning of September, we had Oscar Nominated, owned by Ken and Sarah Ramsey. No strangers to Woodbine. They brought horses here.
Good point.
They won the Queen's Plate last year, for heaven's sakes. Oscar Nominated, seen here beating Postulation, trained by Edward Graham. These 2 horses they're still young horses, and they're really professional long-distance grass horses. And what a show they put on in this race. They're gonna love the long stretch at Woodbine, I think, Jason.
Good looking field. We're going 1.5 miles. Off the top of the show, we talked about, you know, the legendary one, Secretariat, winning. When he won the race, it was 1 mile and 5/16. It was a lot longer than it's going to be coming up, obviously, on Sunday. Do you know who you like yet?
Well, I'm leaning. I think Johnny Bear can hit the top 3, but I'm leaning to a horse like Chemical Charge. I think he's going to be a tough horse.
All right. For me, it's a coin toss. I guess I'm going to try Oscar Nominated. I mean, it's going to be a great race, and that's all we're looking forward to, right? Plus, we talked about the other stakes as well, the E.P. Taylor. And
the Arctic Stakes, the Sprint, and Ontario Derby. We have Holy Helena, the Queen's Plate winner. She's coming back to run against the boys again Sunday in the Ontario Derby on the big racing card here at Woodbine.
All right, so we're all set for a huge weekend right here at the Airport Oval. Looking forward to it, and that'll put a wrap on this special preview edition of the Pattison Canadian International. For Jennifer Morrison, I'm Jason Portwando. Thank you, as always, for the company. We'll see you again next time.
Number 1, Oscar Nominated. Number 2, Flamboyant. Number 3, Enterprising. Number 4, Idaho. Number 5, Johnny Bear. Number 6, Postulation. Number 7, Bullard's Alley. Number 8, Messy. Number 9, Erupt. And number 10, Chemical Charge.